Snoop song. Have you heard that Snoop song? Drop It Like It's Hot with
Oh yeah,
Pharrell.
yeah, old
Oh,
school.
dude. Old school, early 2000s, baby.
Yeah,
I mean, that's Snoop Dogg. Speaking of Snoop Dogg, did you see the whole like hoax thing he did? The commercial? What brilliant marketing by Snoop
I
Dogg.
saw the first part, but I didn't get the. I didn't see what the whole marketing ploy was. So is it like gummies or something? I don't know.
Well, no, it had something to do with like a smokeless fire pit or a smokeless
Oh, okay.
oven, something along those lines. We're talking brilliant marketing, and Snoop
Yeah.
Dogg, of course, is leading that charge. What is up, Broncos country? It is Wednesday night, a special Wednesday night MHI edition, Thanksgiving edition. Tom, we are hours away from Thanksgiving, a beautiful holiday, one of our favorites. I've been excited to just get on this microphone and talk with everybody because I have a lot to be thankful for. But we as Broncos country, we've got a lot to be thankful for, huh, Tom? Another dub against the Minnesota Vikings on Sunday Night Football. Join with me as always. He is Thomas Hall. We've got Scott Kennedy on the ones and twos. Tom, how we doing?
Doing good, man. I like you said. I don't care if they win ugly. It doesn't matter. They won back into the playoff relevancy. When was the last time that
Yeah.
we really honestly talked about the Broncos possibly getting a playoff spot? Like
Training
really
camp,
talked about
every training camp, it's a pipe
yeah,
dream,
I
Tom.
meant
That's what it is.
mid
It's
season, in the middle of the season. It's like almost over the middle of the season. So you can't complain about that unless you just want them to be awful and get the number one draft pick so you can complain. But otherwise, it's nice to have some wins. It's nice to have family around over the holidays, and I'm excited. It's good.
Yeah, Dalton Reisner had his homecoming. I'm sorry that was spoiled, right? But that was
Yeah.
kind of
Yep.
interesting to
Yep.
see Dalton Reisner come back in that Vikings game. Broncos feeling some of the ripple effects, if you will, from that Vikings game. Of course, I'm talking about Kareem Jackson, NFL's most wanted safety.
Yep.
Found himself in hot water with the league again. Kareem Jackson, Broncos starting safety, dealing with a suspension from the NFL. We'll see what this looks like long term for K-Jack. And what do I mean by long term? I mean, whenever it is, they'll let him play football again, because it just seems like I talked about it early on. Some of the plays, they were a little egregious, others not so much. But when you have that reputation like Kareem Jackson has, they're not going to give you the benefit of the doubt. And let's not forget, Tom, Sean Payton. The NFL doesn't like Sean Payton, okay? Roger Goodell doesn't like Sean Payton. So I'm not going all conspiracy hat on you here the eve before Thanksgiving, but Kareem Jackson suspended by the NFL. Extra, read all about it at milehighhuddle.com. I'm not surprised. I thought the call, of course, Josh Dobbs declared himself as a runner, right, Tom? You're free
Yeah.
game to me. I thought the hit looked clean. What say you about Kareem Jackson's suspension after Sunday Night Football, Minnesota Vikings, and his hit to quarterback Josh Dobbs?
Well, first of all, I hate the way the NFL is going, and it's like any big hit gets flagged now. I don't like it. I've watched football for a few decades now, and I like the big hits. It used to be all about the big hits, but the problem is there's rules now, and you've got to abide by them, or you're going to hurt your team and hurting himself. He's got a lot of fines, missed some games. He's going to get through. He's got 3 games the rest of the year if they and then if they make the playoffs, he'll be back in it. But regardless of whether you think it was clean or not clean, or you like big hits or you don't like big hits, there's rules in place, and you have to you're going to hurt your team if you don't abide by them, and it kind of stinks. But yeah, it's unfortunate that he's going to be gone for 4 games though.
Well, and not only are you hurting your team, right, who's very thin, and no, I do not like the Larry and Turner yell back there. Maybe
No.
we get to see our guy, JL Skinner. Tom, Coach talked about him today at the press conference.
Yes.
We'll get into that a little bit later here in the show. But before we do, let's say what's up to Mike S., man. Always repping us. We're very thankful for you, Mike, saying what's up, Luke, Thomas, Scott, Dylan, and Broncos country. And speaking of extra, read all about it. Stu McPeak is coming in here with a very generous $49.99 super chat. Stu, thank you so much, man. This is a generous gift. Your time is a gift enough, but thank you very much. This helps us keep the lights on. Stu saying, hi all, happy Thanksgiving. Stu, I am personally grateful for you, man. You've been riding with me since I've been doing this show on Saturdays, man. Tom's spot now. Tom's got 3 shows. He's that cool. I only have ever had the 1. But Stu has been riding with us, man. He's been checking out all our work over at milehighhuddle.com. He comes in fast and furious every Wednesday night, every weeknight, man. I see Stu all over the pods, Tom. So not to get all choked up and emotional, but thank you so much, Stu. Your support means the world, brother.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And Stu, I hope you and your family have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Have a great time. Enjoy the time off. And just, for me, it's just hanging out and being with family, man. I love it.
Well,
That's why I love
Stu's the
Thanksgiving.
same way.
Yeah.
Stu's the same way, man. Like, because he's always posting pictures of his family. It was in the airline business, if I'm not mistaken, right, Stu? So if you're traveling too and you're listening to these pods, we appreciate it. Get to your destination safely. And thank you for joining MHI because, yeah, Stu, like Tom said, man, and from Scott too, happy Thanksgiving to you and yours. Broncos country. He is Thomas Hall. I am Luke Patterson. This is MHI. You can catch us every Wednesday night at 6 p.m. Mountain. We are talking Denver Broncos football and why we are grateful for the 4-game winning streak. That's right, Broncos country. I said 4-game winning streak, something that hasn't happened since 2016. The Denver Broncos are officially 500, Tom, and they are in the playoff hunt. We have a lot to be thankful for. We're going to talk Browns. We're going to talk Tom's by the numbers. We're going to talk keys to victory, Thanksgiving, and more. But before we do, let's get to our guy, Troy. What's up, Troy? Another guy, an OG who's been with us since the very beginning. A generous $9.99 super. Thank you so much, Troy. Hey, guys, I can't watch this until later, but I'm grateful to have the Broncos be relevant. I am grateful that J.L. Skinner is progressing. Grateful that Sean Payton is our coach. Let's leave that up there for just a quick second, Scott, because there's a little bit to unpack there. Relevant. I never thought I would say a 500 team is relevant, Tom, but this 500 record means so much to Broncos country and this franchise right now. It means so much to this new ownership group right now who basically hauled every asset that they could from head coaching to free agency, everything in between, Russell Wilson's contract. I mean, this is progress. So I can see why Troy's excited and why Troy's grateful.
Yeah. And the relevancy is, I mean, you could look back at some of these other teams from the past 6 years, and they were 500, but they never seemed like they were, a 500 that could do anything. Right now, I know that some of these wins have, kind of been aided with some mistakes from the other teams and whatnot, but this team seems like it's more relevant than in the past. It seems like this team can actually make some noise if they continue to progress, get a little bit better. And at this, I've been saying this for the last few weeks. We're seeing more people get injured, more stars going down. Like the talent levels kind of even out. They may make a lot more noise going down the stretch than we even anticipate. So I'm very happy about the team and how they're doing. And at the same time, I can't wait to see JL Skinner on the field. It's got to happen at some point, right? They got to understand what they've got in JL Skinner because they're going to have another safety. Either they're going to have to draft another one or they're going to have to get a free agent after this season. Maybe if they play JL Skinner, they'll realize that they don't actually have to go out and find one, right? Maybe they have one.
Coach talked about him today. We'll get into that and more, including today's injury report against the Cleveland Browns as well. But before we do that, let's give a shout out to our friends over at Little Caesars. Guys, the Pizza pregame is something everyone needs to check out. Make Little Caesars the official pizza sponsor of the NFL, part of your game day. Now, look, we got turkey coming up, ham, mashed potatoes. I'm going to be grubbing on all that stuff for 2-3 days. But come Sunday night, I'm going to want something a little bit different. Make pizza a part of your official Sunday. Go to Little Caesars or order online during the Pizza pregame, 1 hour before and 3 hours after NFL kickoffs, plus all day Sunday. Get ready for some football. Get ready for some fun.
Yeah, and it's nice. You can choose whatever favorite pizza you want, or you can pick your own toppings. I mean, either way, you're going to win, right? I said this the other day. Like, I used to get like extra sauce. That's like an extra topping. I used to get extra sauce on my Little Caesars pizza, and it actually made it taste so much better. Yeah, back when I was younger, I don't. Yeah, but anyway, I mean, I'll eat any kind of pizza, but definitely like the meat on there for sure. But we want to talk about winning, right? Everyone scores with the convenient delivery of our in-store pizza portal pickup. Or their in-store pizza pickup. Yeah. And grab some friends, enjoy a few slices during the game. You can't go wrong with pizza and football.
Boom. Pizza and football. Make sure, the That football's that Broncos game. I know it's going to be a little different this week, folks,
It's
right?
early.
You're going to have to, yeah, I know. I was going to say, you're going to have lunch. You're going to have pizza for lunch this time. You're not going to be having to plan dinner and everything. 3 primetime games in a row, 3 victories in a row. That's something that's absolutely huge for not only this football team, but this fan base. I was right there. You were right there. We're all been in the trenches here with these Denver Broncos. And here they are at 5-5. They're getting ready to host the 7-3 Cleveland Browns. Now I'm talking about Denver's 4-game winning streak. They're playing another team on another winning streak, a 3-game winning streak in the Cleveland Browns. There are lots of knowns about the Cleveland Browns, specifically with that defense, and a lot of unknowns with the offense that we are going to unpack here in just a little bit. But before we do, Phil McLaughlin, our guy, happy Thanksgiving, Phil, saying, good evening, Luke, Thomas, and Deacon Scott. First time in years, it will be extra special giving thanks for our Broncos winning progress. Hashtag Buckham, hashtag Go Broncos, hashtag MHH for life. Phil, I like that. I hadn't considered that. When was the last time we had a good Thanksgiving in Broncos country because there was winning football or relevant football, as Troy was talking about earlier?
2016.
I mean, that's a long time. That's a haul, Phil. So I completely feel you, man. Thank you so much for the support. You're right. First time in years that it's extra special. And it's extra special because the Broncos are winning. You talked about it earlier, Tom. They're winning ugly. I don't care how they do it, as long as they win. Who cares? Nobody looks when you graduate college, you graduate high school, you get a certificate, whatever happens on that special piece of paper, your credential, they don't look on the back of it for the grades. They don't look on the back of it for attendance. All that matters is that you've accomplished your goal. And by simply slowing things down, Sean Payton truly has gotten this team to buy in on a weekly basis. And that's why they're winning football games right now. The Broncos defense, Tom, they forced 3 turnovers in 3 consecutive games. I hear you. Some of it's good fortune. It's not good fortune. Justin Simmons late in the 4th quarter with some absolutely nasty stops on that tight end against the Minnesota Vikings. Some guy, I think TJ Hawkinson, right? Pretty big guy, a first rounder. Yeah, something like Iowa, right, Nick? Iowa, Boston College, you're going to let skinny Justin Simmons boss you around? That's exactly what happened. I would rather see those type of plays from Justin Simmons over his traditional turnovers any day of the week, because it's all heart, it's all soul. It changed the game. It ultimately sealed the dub. How are we feeling about the Broncos defense right now, Tom?
Well, I'm feeling a little bit concerned about their run defense for sure. They, for some reason, can't tackle on first contact. I don't know why, but that's a concerning. But you know what? Getting turnovers is the key of any defense. And I know people keep saying, "Oh, it's not sustainable. It's not sustainable." Well, maybe some games, but if you're able to create turnovers consistently, you're going to be able to do that in other games because it's your game plan. It's your opportunistic attitude. It's many things. It's the players being in the right place at the right time. That's where your turnovers come from. So whether or not people think it's sustainable or not, I think if you have a defense that creates turnovers, it is sustainable because you see it throughout the year. Now, when the problem is when they don't create the turnovers in the game that they miss those turnovers, can their offense make up the difference? Because that so far that hasn't been the case. The offense has been a little lackluster. So without the question is the defense, if they can't get those turnovers, is the offense going to pick up the slack? That's where the question is. But I'm liking the defense other than the run defense. It's just
We're going to talk about that. I hear you. I don't like it either. We're going to talk about that. We're going to preview your by the numbers piece here in just a little bit. It's also one of my keys to victory. So it's funny how we always sort of end up in the same road, just different paths on the way to get there. Before we do, Michael Ronquillo, our guy out in AZ. Good evening, Thomas and Luke on the Mile High Insiders. Happy Thanksgiving, Thomas, Luke, and Scott. Go Broncos. Michael, thank you for so much for all the support, brother. You've been with us since the beginning as well. Your support means the world. Again, Mike's always hitting us up, just saying thanks for a good show, guys. At the end of every show, that means a lot to both of us, to all 3 of us, actually. Everybody here at Mile High Huddle, man. Something small like that. It truly is the smallest gestures that make the biggest impact. Papa Bear, David, what's up, big dog? $5 super. Happy Thanksgiving, buddy. Thank you for your service. Good evening, Broncos country, and happy Thanksgiving, Luke, Tom, Dylan, and Deacon Scott. I think I see a change here. Hashtag 11-6. Hashtag Buckham, MHH for life, and Denver Broncos for life. David, man, we're just a game away. I initially predicted 10-7 at the beginning of the season. I'm rolling with it, right? Because now it's working in my favor, of course. The team is 500. You talked about the Broncos defense, and thanks, David. Really appreciate the support, man. Really means a lot. It was an honor and a privilege to meet you and share a brew with you at the Broncos-Packers game, which, by the way, Mile High Huddle has not been getting the credit we deserve, Tom. Not That's in the least bit. I don't see it on Facebook. I don't see it on X. I don't hear it on the airwaves. I hear it nowhere. So I'm going to say it right now. The Green Bay Packers, that victory here in Denver at the Mile High Huddle 2023 meet and greet is ultimately what started this 4-game winning streak, Tom. You and I were in the house. The rest of the staffers in the house, podcasters, friends, family. Right. I kind of feel like we started something here. I kind of feel like that mojo got some Mile High magic going a little bit.
We should take the credit. I mean, because obviously we were there and the turnaround happened. So I mean,
we should take the credit. David was
right.
Yeah, David was there. Our guy Naj was there. I mean, like many of our friends were there. But now you talk about the Broncos defense, and you're right. Sustainability. How long can these turnovers keep happening? Look, you're not going to play a Josh Dobbs and you're not going to play a Dorian Thompson-Robinson every week in the NFL. You're going to play some good quarterbacks. And you know what? You're also going to get caught by some guys who are a little unsuspecting. Some guy named Sam Howell's playing pretty decent football out there in Washington right now, right? It seems like every year Josh Dobbs still playing decent football, right? I mean, every year there are some under-the-radar quarterbacks that make some splashes, right? And then teams tend to overpay them. Geno Smith, Seattle Seahawks, enjoy. And the rest is kind of history. But for me right now with this Broncos defense, they have got to clean up tackling. I like Josie Jewell. I like Alex Singleton. Please stop chase tackling, okay? Once the players are already like ahead of you. Well, angles, I love it. We need more speed, man. We have to get more speed. The Broncos are tied for the most fumble recoveries at 9, tied third for forced fumbles. They need to make this happen because this Browns offensive rushing attack, it's going to be the commitment for Kevin Stefanski this week, Sunday in Denver. Why? Because you're playing a rookie 5th-round quarterback who has yet to score a touchdown. Stu McPeak again, man. Stu, appreciate all the love, man. Thank you. A 1999 Super. I agree. MHH all the way with the good vibes, man. Stu, you're part of those good vibes. Broncos country, you are part of these good vibes. Head on over to X and follow the mothership at Mile High Huddle. Reach out to us like Stu has in the past. We've wrapped football off the air. I'm at Luke Patterson LP. Thomas is at Thomas Hall NFL. Scott at Scout Kennedy. And give the pod a follow too on X or whatever I got to say. It's at MHI_pod. Really, really appreciate the support, Stu. And speaking of appreciating the support, I want to thank our friends at Manscaped who also support us on a weekly basis. 2023, I am thankful for the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra. You ready to spice up your Thanksgiving? If you are, then listen up. As we dive headfirst into the mountains of mashed potatoes and cranberry sauce, let's talk about the unsung hero of the holiday season, the Manscaped Lawnmower 5.0. That's right. It's time to go cold turkey on your old razor and take care of your own turkey leg with the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra. Visit manscaped.com. Use the code HUDDLE for 20% off and free shipping and enjoy Thanksgiving in style with the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra. Gobble, gobble.
And let's face it, you don't want your poor grooming habits to be the topic of dinner conversation this year, right?
Oof.
With the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra, you'll be the talk of the table. And it's waterproof, so you can groom wet or dry. And let's face it, we all want to look our best before carving the bird. Plus, the LED spotlight ensures you don't miss a spot, even in low light.
Get 20% off and free shipping using the code HUDDLE at manscaped.com. That's right. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com. Use the code HUDDLE. Be thankful this holiday season for the best gift of all from Manscaped. Your boss will thank you. And we're talking about what we are thankful for. We are thankful for Manscaped. We are thankful for our friends at Little Caesars. We are thankful for Broncos country. We're thankful for a 4-game winning streak. We're thankful to be 500. The list goes on and on right now, Tom. I'm feeling really good. I'm getting even more positive as I talk about it here. I'm
thankful for the turnovers, man. I'm thankful for the turnovers. They're being created by the defense. There's a couple that were gimmies, but for the most part, they are being created by the defense. That's something to be thankful for. Very much so.
Turnovers. Let's keep that Broncos bakery open, as I wrote about at milehighhuddle.com last week. Gary Palmer, an OG, man. I'm thankful for GLP, as we all are here at MHH. OG on the Mount Rushmore of Super Chat superstars. A generous $9.99. Hey, MHI guys in Broncos country. Happy Thanksgiving and go Broncos. Happy Thanksgiving to you, Gary. Hopefully you enjoy some much deserved time off of your feet with friends, family, and those that you care about. Miguel coming in real quick with Facebook stars. Appreciate your support as well. Miguel, you've been rocking with us. I remember way back when, Saturday nights, baby. What's up, fellas? Do you think Leonard is off the table for Denver? We need help in the run defense. Happy Turkey Day. Happy Thanksgiving to you, Miguel.
I just think they're not good. They don't feel like making any changes right now. I don't know. I mean,
let's rewind this real quick. Shaquille Leonard, for those of you that don't know, Indianapolis Colts released the linebacker, team captain, former team captain now, Shaquille Leonard. And Miguel is obviously wondering, hey, do the Broncos need some linebacking help?
Yeah, they do, probably, but I don't think they're going to make any changes right now. I mean, unless they have to. It just depends, right? Like if they can come up with a deal and he wants to take it, maybe so. But it just seems like one of those situations where everything seems to be kind of playing out correctly. So are they going to make a move just and throw somebody else in there? I don't know. It doesn't seem so. If they wanted to, they probably would have put a waiver claim on him. Or now that he's the waivers, cleared, then they can start to negotiate. Maybe they didn't want to take on that contract. It just seems like he's kind of been injured a lot, and he, maybe they're just a little gun shy of going out there and signing him, especially for the contract he wants. But man, when he was playing, when he was healthy, he was a tackling machine. No doubt. Yeah. So I would take him on the team. I would.
Me too. You need a veteran leader, especially at the linebacker position. What are you going to do? You're going to throw Justin Sternat in there? Well, we've seen how that goes in the box against O-linemen. Are you kidding me? We know how that goes. Alex Singleton, Josie Jewell, they do their damnedest, and they're not small guys, folks. But it's just the nature of the beast. What? And I'm looking Drew Sanders. I mean, the show. I would love to see these guys play more. And Coach talked about possibly seeing a little bit more Riley Moss. He was at least asked about it, Miguel. But no, I'm with you. Miguel's he's screaming what we're screaming. The run defense is horrible. In fact, the Broncos are worse in yards per carry. They average 5.5 yards a carry allowed, Tom, as you well know. Your by the numbers piece will be coming out by Friday, I believe. So stay tuned for that. But I mean, worst in rushing yards, they've allowed 1,600 already. Miguel's 100% accurate in saying that while we're thankful for what the Broncos are doing right now, things need to improve with this defense. Turnovers. Yeah. I get it. How about running backs averaging a 5.5 yards per carry mark, Tom? That's unacceptable.
Yeah. No, the defense has got to do something about a lot of it has to do with mistakes, like tons of mistakes, missed tackles probably bother me more of anything on the football field. Like I know that their running backs are hard to tackle, but this is getting outrageous. Some of the missed tackles are it's ridiculous. So
arm tackles, your pad level's too high. And this isn't from rookies, Tom. Right. These are veteran guys that I'm going back and seeing this from.
And the thing of it is, too, if some of those first contact where they missed the tackles had been tackles, man, they would have had tons of tackles for a loss. They would have stopped them, for short gains, but instead they end up getting these 5, 6, big chunk yard gains. It's frustrating. So why they're not tackling is beyond me. I get that they're not fast. I get that the linebacking group isn't fast, right? But you've got to make up for it with instincts, and they're just not getting to the spot in time, obviously, to actually make the tackle. They're kind of having to lunge at them or whatever it may be.
They're half-assing it. They're half-assing it and hoping for a turnover when it comes to the run defense. Don't get me wrong. You could sit there and peanut punch at the football all day, but when it's already a first down, it's unacceptable. And check this out. This should be a trivia stat. I don't know. Maybe we should get some MHH trivia. Let us know over at Mile High Huddle or something. That'd be kind of fun if we all did like a trivia night or something like that. Because Scott has a little something. He's in my ear, so to speak. And check this out. What's it say about your defensive front when Alex Singleton leads both the NFL in tackles and missed tackles? I mean, you can't
Yeah.
make that stuff up, Tom. This is Broncos country, baby.
Yeah.
And I like Alex Singleton. He's the nicest guy ever. He's a good player, but good Lord. I mean, I got called a hater last week for saying that, the Broncos didn't get any sacks on Josh Allen. What did they do? They remedied the situation by trying to get to Josh Dobbs, by getting to Josh Dobbs and Kareem Jackson. Now he's fined, right? Now he's suspended. It's craziness. There's lots to be thankful for. There's lots that can improve. Eric Weber coming in with some support. Thank you so much, Eric. Eric's a big supporter of mine and yours and MHH, and he's an active member of our community, and I'm very thankful for you, Eric. Here's to hoping we can squeak another one out this week at home against the Cleveland Browns. I am grateful for MHH and that the Broncos have rediscovered how to win and brought back that mile-high magic. Happy Thanksgiving, Broncos country. Happy Thanksgiving, Eric. I absolutely love that. Right there. I wish maybe I would have wrote that. I'm a little jealous, Eric, that you wrote that and I didn't. The Broncos have rediscovered how to win. Tom, this is something that you have talked about ad nauseum on all three of your shows here at MHH. You can catch Tom on Friday mornings for Legends or OBV with Ron White on Saturday night as well. This team didn't know how to win, Tom. We don't have any winners. All they've known is losing. You know who knows how to win? Sean Payton. You know who knows how to make money, which is essentially winning? This ownership group, the Walton Penner ownership group, who just rolled out new grass for Sunday Night Football saying, we're going to keep our guys healthy. That's right. All 5 starting offensive linemen, you're staying up. Russell Wilson, the wide receiver core, you're staying up. I mean, these are the kinds of things that eventually lead a team, like Eric's saying, to rediscover their winning ways.
Well, that's just it, right? You might say, okay, they got lucky a couple times and they end up winning, but the luck or whatever it may be, whatever you want to call it, winning is winning. And the group that is doing the winning, the Denver Broncos, are starting to figure out 5 games ago or 6 games ago in those situations where they needed to go down the field and win. They probably would have lost, but now they go, okay, we won this one. That's a confidence booster. People start to believe. And then during those games when they need that one play, they seem to be making it. I don't know what it is. I don't know how that happens mentally, but there is a kind of a changeover from we're probably going to lose this game to now we're going to win this game, right? When it's
called Mile High Magic, baby. That's what it's called.
Magic, whatever you want to call it. That's the confidence that they're gathering. So even though these wins, you can say, oh, they won lucky in Buffalo. They got a lot of turnovers. They were able to sneak by the Minnesota Vikings. It doesn't matter. It's building their confidence so that when they're on that field, now they believe they can win. And that's important because before they had a losing mentality. Now they're starting to get a winning mentality. They may not win, all their games going forward. They are going to lose, but that if they put enough wins together, they're going to start believing it. So even after a loss, it's not, oh, here we go again. We're going to have a losing record. So it's important to get these wins.
It doesn't feel like anymore. They're just going out there and just winging it and saying, oh,
right,
let's see what happens. Right. I feel like they're coming in with a purpose almost. They're coming in united. I think that Sean Payton has rallied them with this. It's us against the world, including, the world being us at times in the media, analysts that necessarily say some things and do some things that the team doesn't always like. And that's all right. They'll be all right. We need each other. And we need the Broncos to keep winning football games. It's a special Thanksgiving edition of MHI. We are excited that you guys are rocking with us. Thank you so much for your time and your support. It means a lot, just like all the support from our friends over at Factor. Guys, this holiday season, you might be looking for nutritious, convenient meals to keep you energized on very jam-packed days. Enter Factor. It's a blessing sent from the football gods straight to Broncos country. Factor is America's #1 ready-to-eat meal delivery service, and it can help you fuel up fast for breakfast, lunch, and dinner with chef-prepared, dietitian-approved, ready-to-eat meals that are delivered straight to your door. With Factor, you'll save time, you'll eat well, and you'll stay on track with your healthy lifestyle while tackling all of your holiday to-do list.
Yeah, and skip the stress of meal prepping over the holidays with Factor, right? Choose from more than 35 weekly flavor-packed, fresh, never frozen meals that support a healthy lifestyle and meet your meal preferences, all delivered to your door and ready to eat in 2 minutes. And this November, get Factor and enjoy eating well without the hassle. Simply choose your meals and enjoy fresh, flavor-packed meals delivered to your door, ready in 2 minutes. No prep, no mess. And that this isn't a service for the holiday season only. So remember that. Factor is a way of life 365 days a year.
Guys, head to factormeals.com/huddle50 and use our code. That's right, our code here, huddle50, to get 50% off. That's code huddle50 at factormeals.com/huddle50 to get that 50% off. Thank you to our friends from Factor. Broncos country, we are off and rolling on your Wednesday night, the night before Thanksgiving. We're talking some Vikings leftovers. We're talking Browns. We're talking what we're grateful for. I also want to get silly with it in the last half of the show. I want to talk about what we're eating at Thanksgiving. I got one of my guys in here saying he's making venison, making my mouth water already. Talk to me about some of your favorite traditions. Are we playing football at all, right? We're going to get some snow in the Mile High City tomorrow, like 8 to 10 inches. So it is coming. The holidays are here, baby. Phil McLaughlin is also here in the house, giving us some more support, some more love. Phil, thank you so much, man. Very grateful for you. Guys, at what point do we start getting 7 instead of 3 off of these turnovers? This red zone is terrible. Phil, you're a lot like me, man, because when the Broncos are not converting touchdowns, let alone first downs, right? Some of that's changing, Scott. Scott reminded me in that Buffalo game, 0 first downs, right? We're talking about touchdowns. How about first downs? When this team is not capitalizing on all the turnovers that they've been able to take away, that they've been able to possess, it makes you wonder what happens when they're going to face a very good football team who is going to pounce when a team is down, when there's blood in the water, a shark that smells that and finishes the kill. That's what the Broncos need to do. And like Phil, Tom, I'm sitting here wondering when these things happen in film room, is Sean Payton just yelling at everybody? Vance Joseph just yelling at everybody? There's a lot of good, but not scoring touchdowns after you get these takeaways. 3 games with 3 turnovers in each game. Not a lot of points to say for it other than field goals.
Well, for one, I'd like him to be a little bit more aggressive, especially if they get interception in the other opponent's territory. I mean, Mike Shanahan, the first play after interception was like a strike to the end zone, right? They play really conservative after these turnovers. I'd like to see him be a little bit more aggressive, but it's really mistakes have cost them a lot, whether it's a penalty that drives them back and then they can't make the thing, or, like that pass to Jerry Jeudy this last week that he dropped. I mean, that was a drop. That was a great blitz read, throw the ball right to his hands. He dropped it. So there's mistakes. You clean up those mistakes, you're going to see this team start to play better. But that's the thing. Are they going to clean up the mistakes enough to actually start scoring points? I think you will. Although this weekend, if the Broncos can figure out how to stop the run game, I'll put money on Will Lutz being the MVP, because against Cleveland, if they can stop the run game, just keep kicking field goals. Cleveland's offense doesn't scare me if you can stop the running game.
Here's what I'll say about the field goals right now with Will Lutz. I am grateful for him. You know why? Because that arrogant SOB that knows everything over there named Sean Payton, that's right, the guy that broke the code of all codes when he called Nathaniel Hackett, a hack, so to speak. Yeah, that guy, he's put his ego aside. And instead of rolling the dice, going for it on 4th downs, instead of trying a fake field goal that's probably not going to be executed well and looks sloppy, he's not doing it. He's doing something against his better nature, I feel like. And I feel like Sean Payton is trusting the process as well. He's part of it. He's leading the process. It's his responsibility to direct the process. It's his responsibility to get a collective buy-in, right? But it's also his responsibility to get a return on that investment. How can you get a return on an investment if you yourself are not in on that very investment? Right. Sean Payton is not only practicing what he preaches, but it's also kind of showing some servant leadership, something that Russell Wilson's doing right now, and I think he's doing a very good job. Speaking of doing a good job, our guy D Porter did an excellent job. It was a pleasure meeting D earlier this year. Generous $5 super saying, "Hey, MHH, I was at the meet and greet this year with Naj and friends. Next year, we need to have it on week 1 so that we can run the table. That's right. D Porter and Naj and friends, man, they mob deep, man. D Porter and Naj, they had like a crew of like half dozen, maybe even a dozen dudes flying out from the Washington area, if memory serves. So super cool to meet and greet and mingle and share cold pop and food with so many folks from all over, because at MHH, what we like to say, Broncos country is not a geographical location. It truly is a state of being. Much love and much support, man. We really, really appreciate it.
Yeah, and I just want to talk a little bit about offense before we get to Mike Edel here. And again, thank you, Mike, for coming in with the super chat. But when we talk about this weekend, you're probably not going to see the offense get opened up. But I would be willing to bet that you're going to see a more potent offense when they face the Chargers twice, they're not very good on defense. You know, you go to Houston, you're going to see that offense start to open up a little bit better. I think this weekend Sean Payton is going to be conservative if he can be, because he doesn't want to make any mistakes. He knows if he can keep that game close, he might be able to win it, because I don't think that the Cleveland, quarterback situation is one that's going to really scare a lot of teams.
No, you're not in on Darian Thompson-Robinson?
Not yet. I mean, he could be good down the road, but I'm not, he's rookie. It's fortuitous that,
he's swimming.
These things are happening right now for the Broncos to claw their way back into it. But I think as the year, I think the back half of this year, you're going to see more of the offense being kind of opened up rather than held back and being conservative, just based on who they're facing. I think that the Bills, played excellent defense. Really, they were selling out for the run. I think that the Vikings have a pretty solid defense. So clean up the mistakes. You'll see them open up the offense a little bit more against different teams, and it'll be a little bit more fun to watch for offense.
Stay tuned, folks. You might be surprised this week. One of my keys to victory, Peyton's playbook, why the Broncos should throw haymakers and not jabs. Mike Edel coming in with a $10 super. Hey, Luke, Thomas Scott in Broncos country. I think that the Cleveland Browns are going to be a real test for the Denver Broncos offensive line. I think a lack of run defense is lack of big defensive linemen. What do you guys think? Mike, you're all over it, man. Mike's worried about some guy named Myles Garrett. An absolute beast. He has the most career sacks in Browns history ever with 87.5. This year, he's got 13 sacks, 30 tackles, 11 tackles for loss, 4 forced fumbles, 2 pass deflections, 23 quarterback hits, and a fumble recovery. He is an absolute monster. He raises hell for offensive lines, as does the rest of the Cleveland defensive line. Garrett Bowles traditionally has matched up okay with Myles Garrett, if memory serves. Now, just okay, right? He's not giving up a ton of sacks, but he's not dominating either. You got to figure out a way to attack a Myles Garrett a lot like you would figure out a way to attack a Max Crosby, in my opinion. You're going to utilize some extra tight ends. You're going to utilize some fullbacks, but unsuspecting targets, Mike. This is what I talked about all training camp. We're seeing it, Tom. What did I say? Broncos country's going to love Samaje Perine. He's one of the biggest receivers, if not other than Cortland Sutton, the most productive receiver really on the team. I mean, these check down to the running backs, it's okay. I may gripe about it on my articles at milehighhuddle.com, and I still need Javonte to get a rushing touchdown this year. Broncos only have one. It's pathetic. But at the same time, it doesn't matter how you score as long as you're scoring. What do you think about Myles Garrett and the challenge that the Broncos offensive line has this Sunday in Denver?
Yeah, I mean, that's a key. If they can't keep Myles Garrett off of Russell Wilson, it's going to be a very long day, unfortunately. So that's a huge test. I just want to get to this big D lineman. The problem with Mike Purcell is the biggest defensive lineman on the team. He's like a 330 pounder. He gets pushed around too much. So I don't know if it's big or it's the way that they're kind of sitting back and waiting and they're not attacking. I don't know, but Mike Purcell for me gets pushed around far too often for his size than my liking. But yeah, I think it's the key really is somehow figuring out how to stop that pass rush. But the other thing is to be able to get that running game going. It's going to be tough, man. I actually think that we're going to be sitting there watching a low scoring game going, whoa, this seems kind of boring, but that's because they can't get anything going in the running game, and they need to. And maybe I'll be surprised, and maybe they'll hit on all cylinders and they'll get this whole thing going. But they need to fire up that running game, and the offensive line has got to keep that defense off of Russell Wilson. Because let's face it, he holds the ball too long. And just one more tick and Myles Garrett's going to get there. So,
and listen, he's not going to be able to get away with that little, let me show the nothing drives me more crazy in a game, Tom. I almost just cursed right there. Than when a quarterback gives the line of scrimmage his back. And Russell Wilson does it almost every game where he tries to little spin move out of there. Yep. Russ, you're not 26 years old anymore, bro. Like, I get it. We lost 15 pounds. You're looking great. Let's talk about quick release. When Tua Tagovailoa for the Miami Dolphins has the fastest release in the NFL, it's because he's been coached to do that.
Yep.
I need you to get rid of the ball quick and get rid of it fast. I had to get to our guy Mike here because I this completely went past my head until just now. Shelby Harris, another former Bronco, coming in consecutive weeks. He's playing for the Browns. I'm looking him up right now, Tom. Looks like he's got 10 games, 2023, 1.5 sacks, 12 tackles, and a forced fumble. I don't know, Mike. Maybe Will Lutz is staying up at night because he's worried Shelby Harris is going to tip an extra point or tip one of those field goals. How disgusting would that be, by the way? I mean, we've got our own odd little problems with that field goal unit. Say whatever you want about them. They've won games, but they've also screwed the pooch, so to speak, in several other areas. Sure. Shelby Harris, is he getting a tipped ball? Would you put money on it? What are the odds?
Well, I hope not. I don't. I respect former Broncos players. Don't get me wrong, but when they're playing the Broncos, I want them to have a terrible game. Really, I'm a Broncos fan, so I'm an analyst and a fan. But he's probably going to make a little bit of an impact. I don't think he's the biggest threat that the Browns have on that defense. So, I hope he isn't the one that bats down a game-winning field goal for sure. But I'm not as worried about him as a few other players on that defensive line, really.
Well, and look, some of the defensive backs have been beat up too. And I wrote about that in one of my keys to victory, and you'll read that on Friday at milehighhuddle.com. I mean, this defense is a formidable defense. Don't get me wrong. And I also talked about this. We should take the Cleveland Browns serious, Tom. I mean, who are we as the Denver Broncos and Broncos country to poke fun of anybody? That is absolutely ridiculous. The Browns are 2-2 in away games this year. They beat the Ravens and the Colts on the road. But listen, they've finished the last 4 seasons with winning records. The Browns, the last 4 seasons with winning records. The Broncos, what, 6? Going on 7 now? I mean, like, who are the Broncos to poke fun and make fun of the Cleveland Browns? Cleveland Browns might catch you. And KB2 coming in, $1.99 for what up, KB? Happy Thanksgiving to you and yours, Kenneth. Should we kick the tires on Indianapolis linebacker Leonard? Yeah, absolutely. You should kick the tires on him. Tom and I talked about that a little earlier in the show. Shaq Leonard cleared waivers after the Indianapolis Colts released him yesterday, I believe, or a couple days ago. I think the Cowboys or the Eagles are going to get him, right? Nakobe Dean goes down for the Eagles, and Van Der Esch goes down for the Cowboys. NFC East, it feels like maybe a linebacker would land there. I would definitely go after him and at least make an offer. Why? Because George Paton said he would. Remember when George Paton said, we're going to be in on every deal?
Yep.
Are you in on this deal? Are you in on wanting to shore up the run defense like we talked about earlier in the show? Are you in for trying to get some veteran leadership? Because I got to tell you, there ain't a lot there with Justin Sternad and Drew Sanders behind and Alex Singleton and a Josie Jewell. There just isn't. That's not making fun of those guys. That's not being a jerk. It's not being a hater. Drew Sanders is too young, and Justin Sternad is a nice complimentary role player right now on special teams. That's just it.
Well, and Drew Sanders, his problem is his ability to read and react right now is too slow. I mean, he's fine athletically, but he isn't in the right spot. So you're not going to throw out Drew Sanders, who's going to be in the wrong spot and give up even bigger plays than someone who's, a little slow getting to the spot in Josie Jewell or Singleton. So yeah, I would at least explore the opportunity, right? I mean, because let's face it, the Broncos linebacking crew is not one of the best in the league. It's just not. I mean, it's an okay crew, but it's not great. You might as well see what he's got left in the tank, see what kind of bill he's going to ask for, how much money that's going to take to get him, just to see. And if it's too lucrative, fine. You go ahead and you live with what you have, but you never know. You might be able to get him on a decent deal, and he might have overcome that injury history. He might stay healthy. He might be a good leader and a good player. You might want to take a shot at it. Because right now, let's face it, the Broncos are all in on trying to get to the playoffs right now. They really are. So there's no reason to not explore. If they were like, 3-7 and they're like, well, we're out of it, then definitely not. But I think they all believe. I think from the coaching staff all the way to the players believe that they've got a shot at the playoffs. So you might as well take a shot at
Well, and
Leonard.
here's something else to consider. I mean, does Leonard want to choose the Denver Broncos? He's cleared waivers. He's available as a free agent right now. I mean, does he want to go to a playoff contending team, a better team, a Super Bowl winning caliber team right now? Probably. Could you make the argument that the Broncos have red hot momentum and could be very enticing to an aging free agent who, as Scott's pointing out right now, got the majority of his dollars from Indy already? Sure. Where are you at in your career? Not everybody's Von Miller. All right. And you're going to get traded to a team and be a catalyst to help win another Super Bowl and then leave that team for a massive payday in Buffalo. That doesn't happen, Tom. It's one of those one-offs. Maybe Randy Gregory, right? I don't know. Just without Super Bowls, you get paid without some of these weird things. It doesn't happen. It's a role player, a veteran that I would like to see here. Injuries are going to start stacking up. We're talking about being thankful, right? Just before Thanksgiving here on MHI. How thankful are we? I talked about the Walton Penner ownership group. How about the new athletic training staff and keeping this team healthy? So many people were up in arms about the Broncos training staff getting changed, right? And out with the old, in with the new. Well, it's going okay right now. The Broncos are relatively healthy. We hear about how it's the same starting 5 offensive linemen week in and week out. So I look ahead to the Broncos injury report, which I'm thankful for right now. PJ Locke, he did not practice today. He was the only Denver Bronco on the list that did not practice. The next couple days are going to be critical per Mike Kliss on whether or not he'll play. The rest of these cats were full or limited. Josie Jewell limited with a back. DJ Jones with a knee limited, Samaje Perine with a knee limited, and then you had Nick Bonito, who was full with the shoulder, Baron Browning, wrist full participant, and Mike Purcell, elbow full participant. I am grateful that the Broncos are no longer hamstrung by hamstring injuries.
Yeah, and look at the Cleveland Browns injury report. It's very, very lengthy, and some of them are like did not participate because they were getting rest or whatever. It's a lengthy list, so absolutely be thankful for it. Also, it's not just this injury report that, I mean, looks like Locke is the only one in question. Everybody else seems to be like they're going to play. But look at the injury reserve, right? There's not a ton of players on the injury reserve. 3 of them can come back pretty much at any time. So really,
who's on there real quick? Greg Dulcich?
Dulcich is a starter. I think after this game, he can come back, or maybe he can be activated this game. I'm not sure. Then you've got my favorite, Palczewski was, they put him on there. They're leaving him on there for the season until someone gets hurt, but he's ready to come back.
He's hurt.
You got Brandon Johnson, who got hurt and went on. He's eligible to come back, I think, after this game. So there's 3. And then other than that, you've got Caden Stearns was a big loss. He was a starter. And then you got a few other like Tim Patrick. You got some others. But for the most part, this team is healthy for the first time in several years. And I keep saying, if you stay healthy and others start losing their talent, even though the Broncos had a less talented roster to start the season, that begins to even out. You look at the Browns. You've got plenty of players on here who may not play. You just start to lose the talent when you get injuries. They already lost their starting quarterback. So I don't like seeing it, and I'd rather have the Broncos beat a fully loaded team to show how great they are. But right now, the Broncos have to get wins, and however they come, that doesn't matter. Start to learn how to win, start to get those, stack up those wins and get to the playoffs, and then who knows what happens.
You feast, you get bountiful, man. We're talking Thanksgiving feast. What we're grateful for. Well, you get grateful for your winning ways. You get grateful for hardware. You get grateful for the good times. I mean, this is what we get to celebrate this Thanksgiving around the table. I mean, man, it's going to be great to actually talk with family and debate in a friendly way, go over the Broncos and not have to be, drudging them through the table or cursing about them. No, this is Broncos football. They are winning. I can't say we. They are winning football games. They are 500. It's exciting. I'm always excited for the chat, man. That we've got such a great chat and a great following here at MHH, specifically MHI on Wednesday nights. I say Broncos country is the most educated fan base in the NFL. This is one of 2 examples I'm going to pull up. Rodney Garcia's wanting to know how we match up with Browns tight end David Njoku? And that's an interesting question because while he doesn't necessarily pose such a big threat on paper, you're talking about a rookie quarterback right now who has not thrown a touchdown pass this year. Look, he's limited. He's only played in 4 games, 295 yards, 4 picks. I'm talking about Dorian Thompson Robinson, or DTR as they call him. He was a 5th rounder out of UCLA. I had a late round grade on him. He's a mobile guy. I'm not going to go as far to say, oh, he's just a scrambling quarterback. I mean, you could get caught slipping. I'm not going to say this guy's like the next Pat Mahomes or anything like that, but a rookie quarterback's best friends are the running backs and the tight ends. And the Broncos are even usually using running backs like tight ends, if you will, right now. Look at Samaje Perine alone in that last Broncos offensive drive. And Michael Ronquillo, proving my second point here. Speaking of tight ends, the Broncos need to use tight end Lucas Kroll in the Broncos offense a little bit more. It does seem like there's some untapped potential on this Broncos offense, Tom, whether that be Lucas Kroll, whether that be when Greg Dulcich comes back. Cortland Sutton is an absolute monster right now. I think there's only been 2 or 3 games in which he does not have a touchdown, but he is playing at such a high level. It only feels like he's getting better and better in terms of those 50-50 balls in the clutch moments. But if I were to ask you which player needs to improve the most on this Broncos offense, who would you say and why?
Well, on the offense, it feels like Jerry Jeudy to me. He's got the talent, but it's just not there. And maybe that some of it has to do with Russell Wilson. Maybe he needs to, get the ball to him a little bit more. But I just expected more from Jerry Jeudy this season. And I expected, he's not playing terrible. I'm not like going to go out and say that this guy stinks, but he's not living up to the potential that everybody saw when he was picked in the first round. I think there's, if they can get him going to combine with Sutton's clutch ability, if they can get Jerry Jeudy out there getting balls and getting, into the open space, this could be a pretty potent offense. But for me, it's just too many mistakes. There's just too many mistakes across the board. And it's stunting the team, that's stunting the offense. I think, like, I projected Russell Wilson in my stat projections to have over 300 yards, like 305 yards. And if it wasn't for all the mistakes to begin with, like before they started to click, he probably would have. I mean, he probably would have had more yards. And that's the problem, is there's just too many mistakes, whether it's a drop ball or a penalty, something like that, it's stalling this offense. So if they can get Jerry Jeudy the ball, get him out into open space a little bit more, get him to use his talent and his abilities, I think that would be huge for the offense. But he needs to do it too. He needs to make that step. And that's where I think if Jerry Jeudy can get going, I think it's going to be a much more potent offense.
I agree 100%. And just looking at it, right, I was told Math would not be involved in this podcast. I was wrong. But just looking at it, he's got roughly 15 catches since the trade deadline, that thing that came and went without the Broncos doing much of anything. And 1 touchdown. 1 touchdown, folks. That's it for Jerry Jeudy. 9 games, 35 receptions for 429 yards and a tutty. Now, he is averaging roughly 12 yards a catch, but we are seeing a lot of these mistakes from Jerry Jeudy, whether it be drop, whether it be alligator arms in Buffalo. Drives me crazy, alligator arm receivers. Yeah, I agree with that. Scott, I wanted to give Scott some credit because this is what I wanted to say as well. Mike McGlinchey has been really tough for me. He's been very frustrating. We have an article up right now on milehighhuddle.com. I think our very own Nick Kendall wrote it on why Mike McGlinchey's performance might surprise you. How about that for a tease? Over at milehighhuddle.com. Head on over there and check out Nick Kendall's work. But no, Mike McGlinchey, man, the false starts, the lack of performance. I don't know if it's Mike. I don't know if the Broncos are cursed at right tackle. I don't get it. I mean, those are some disappointing aspects. It's tough because they're almost similar, right? With Mike McGlinchey and Jerry Jeudy. Not in the fact that like, oh, I want to trade Jerry Jeudy, so let's trade Mike McGlinchey. No, but you've got several players. You've got one specifically for the Broncos wide receiver core and Cortland Sutton, who's playing at an elite level right now. And then you've got a Broncos offensive line who's doing much better at protecting Russell Wilson, who's doing much better at running the football. And I know we're not seeing these dynamic plays every week from the run game, but by committing to running that game, you are committing to controlling the clock. You are committing to keeping your defense fresh. People aren't talking about that, about how that contributes to the turnovers, how that contributes to the juice over on defense. The defense no longer has to carry the water uphill both ways. This is finally, we're starting to see a team. And earlier, one of our friends used the term the Broncos rediscovered how to win. I absolutely love that. Now, can Jerry Jeudy change things around? 100%. And I look forward to the day that he does. But it's getting late early around here. And when you see Cortland Sutton out there with his reconstructive knees that he's used to wear braces on, jumping up for 50-50 balls, getting touchdowns, helping win games, I can't help but wonder why Jerry Jeudy's not doing the same. It's not that Sean Payton doesn't want him in the game. Otherwise, he wouldn't be in the game. I don't know if Russell Wilson doesn't see him on his first read. We were there when someone very influential at training camp had told us, hey, Jerry Jeudy's the first read. Watch for it. Still watching. Still waiting.
Yeah. Well, I actually, the offensive line looked bad at first. I was down on Ben Powers and Mike McGlinchey. I was like, whoa, these were bad sightings. Powers really started to get better, and I think McGlinchey's starting to get a little bit better too. Not great. He needs to cut down the mistakes, but he's starting to get better. The more they play together, the more they're going to continue to improve. So hopefully McGlinchey, starts to keep improving a little bit more, and hopefully he earns the money that he got. With Jeudy, it's hard to understand why he's regressing, why he's not doing more, right? I mean, I just don't understand that. To me, it's like, what's going on with Jerry Jeudy? With Mike McGlinchey, he was hurt. He took a while to really get into the game. He wasn't playing much in training camp and preseason and all of that. It seems like it's taking him a little while to get his feet under him, but I think I can see him start to improve. I can see him to start to get better. With Jerry Jeudy, it's just hard to see it right now. Like, what's he going to do differently to get the ball more and start to make an impact?
Well, and talk about trust too, right? Russ and Cortland have something going right now, and I want to see more of it. It doesn't just happen overnight. It doesn't just happen with one opportunity. Look for Russ to try to get some trust going with Jerry Jeudy. Better late than never. Phil McLaughlin, man, thank you so much for all the support, Phil. You've been such a huge part of the show. Let's get to this very generous super chat. Let's give thanks to Justin Simmons, playing like a 25-year-old Pro Bowler. Mims for being the #1 punt returner in the NFL. And give thanks to Cortland Sutton, playing like he did in 2019. Let's give thanks for Pat Surtain II, working on becoming a Pro Bowl cornerback again. For Russell Wilson, working on Comeback Player of the Year. And for Sean Payton being Coach of the Year.
Wow.
Goosebumps. For all the great Bronco fans, happy Thanksgiving, and God bless all. Phil, thank you so much, man. A lot to unpack there. Was driving around the Mile High City. I heard my guy ZB on the radio waves saying something really interesting, Tom. He said that depending on the sports book you use, the odds for Russell Wilson to win NFL Comeback Player of the Year and Sean Payton to win Coach of the Year are the same, if not very similar. I mean, how close that just kind of tells you everything you need to know, right? That was the story. That was the story when Sean Payton first got dealt for. When Scott and I were at the Senior Bowl day one in Mobile. Here we are the night before Thanksgiving. The Broncos are on a win streak. They're back to 500. They're in the hunt. How are we feeling right now about Coach of the Year? One, I don't think Sean Payton's going to get it because the NFL hates him. Two, Russell Wilson, Comeback Player of the Year. Everybody loves a good story. And Damar Hamlin, I know, Damar Hamlin. But come on, man. You got to have a little bit of production on this field. It's the NFL.
I'll tell you this, if they turn this around, if the Broncos actually turn this around and they get into the playoffs and they get a record to get into the playoffs, not just squeak in with 9-8, but they go 10-7, they get into he has to be in the talk for the Coach of the Year, because this would be one of the most epic turnarounds. 1-5 and that debacle in Miami. Everybody could have just quit after that. 70 points, man. It was one of the worst losses of all time. They could have quit, but they didn't. So that's why I think if that happened, Sean Payton should get Coach of the Year. At least some love for it, right? Maybe not win it, but be in serious consideration. Russell Wilson, he's playing much better. I think it's Damar Hamlin's no matter what. I mean, he played some snaps. He's going to get it. It's just the way it is.
That's horrible.
Not that Russell Wilson doesn't deserve it.
Right. I'm not getting after him, but oh man, that drives me absolutely nuts. Michael Ranquillo, man, a huge, generous $10 super. Thank you so much, Mike. He's saying great show tonight. Thomas and Luke on the Mile High Insiders. Happy Thanksgiving again, and go Broncos. I love these shows, man. They go too fast, especially like the Thanksgiving edition, right? Because I feel like we have so much to be thankful for in general. Tom, I'm thankful for you, for Scott, for MHI, for MHH, for the show. Appreciate your friendship. We've been doing this for a short time now, but man, I have so much fun every Wednesday night at 6 p.m. Mountain right here on MHI.
Yeah, and I just want to say I'm thankful for you and everybody. I'm thankful for the people that come in and spend the time in the chat. Even if you don't have to give super chats. You're spending your time with us to talk football. I thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening to us. Even if we don't agree with this, it doesn't matter. It's still, I just want to say thank you for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And guys, let's watch some football. Let's spend some time with friends, with family. I guess there's a Black Friday game now, right? I mean,
Yeah.
this could be kind of cool, right? So
Yeah.
while maybe your friends, your family are out shopping, you just sneak on down to the man cave, the woman cave, and watch some NFL action. Stay tuned over at milehighhuddle.com. Tom's weekly By the Numbers article is going to be up this Friday. My 3 keys to victory is also going to be up on Friday. Not sure what the Thanksgiving coverage is going to be, so stay tuned over at Mile High Huddle on X. Stay tuned to both Tom and I at Luke Patterson LP, at Thomas Hall NFL. Head on over to Scott's as well, at Scout Kennedy. We appreciate you guys so much. Happy Thanksgiving. Stay blessed. Broncos country. This is the way.
This is the way.